Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. Personal tweaks for food orders often involve subtraction. No crust on a sandwich, for instance, or hold the onion. So is asking for dressing on the side. How folks want their beer is no exception, and what they don't want is something most people don't even consider part of the drink. That's the foam. Our friends at Sauce Magazine explored this heady subject recently. It turns out there's more substance and flavor in those tiny bubbles than you think. And to quench our curiosity about that and more, we have Meera Nagarajan, Sauce Magazine Executive Editor. Meera, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So just to hold your interest a little longer, we're going to talk about the foam for our mouths in just a little bit. But I want to hear first about the 3 new spots on your most recent hit list. So let's start with Amazing Arepa Bar. That's amazing, spelled AMAIZING. It's a new Venezuelan spot serving up arepas and empanadas. So Meera, the name by itself, corn is the star?
Definitely.
Yeah, so tell us about it.
So arepas are made with a corn base in the dough, and then they cook it on a flat top. So it's kind of like a bready corn-based dough, and then they stuff it with a different type of protein. It could be chicken, pork, beef, and beans and plantains and a sauce. And that's what an arepa is, and it's really amazing.
Yeah. So there are other places around town where you can get a Colombian version.
Yes.
What is it about the Venezuelan version of arepa that sort of sets it apart from the other ones?
You know, that's a really good question. I wouldn't know the exact answer to that, but I will say that the co-owners, Meera and Maria Pacheco, are Venezuelan. So they have their own style of cooking. Yes, you can find arepas and other dishes from their menu throughout Central America and South America, but they're bringing their Venezuelan spin to it. I mean, one notable thing I would say from their menu is the queso de mano cheese that they ship from Miami, I think it is. Okay. And it's like a traditional Venezuelan style cheese that they recommend for an upgrade.
And that is an upgrade to the arepa?
To the arepa. Or I think it's in a number of dishes, including the cachapas, which is the cornmeal pancake sandwich thing.
Okay. How big is one of those?
The cachapas are kind of big. I would say they're probably 6 inches in diameter, and it's 2 sweet corn pancakes. You can get mozzarella cheese inside or the queso de mano, and then you can top it with different cheese, proteins, but most of all, you have to get the green sauce, which is a creamy cilantro garlic sauce that is it needs to be bottled. It needs to be available in abundance for everyone.
Yeah. And the write-up mentions that Venezuelan cuisine is in short supply in St. Louis. I mean, does the opening of a place like Amazing Arepa Bar suggest that that's changing?
I think it is certainly a good sign that there could be more to come. You know, they cut their teeth at their Tower Grove Farmers Market stand. And so they had an audience that loved the food they were doing, and they were really experienced. So when we went day one, they hit the ground running. They knew what they were doing, and it was really professional and polished. So I think it's a great introduction to Venezuelan food, and maybe it will mean that diners will be searching for more.
Now let's go to the next spot that you mentioned, and that is Stu's Food and Liquor, which is in Soulard, a new foodie dive bar. And it's been described as eclectic Asian fusion. So something about the way, at least Koreans, the way that they drink, food is required if there are drinks to be had. So tell me a little bit about that, and maybe about one of the standout appetizers?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's co-owned by three people: Nate Burrows, who's helming the bar; Brent Petty, he's their chef; and then Kristen Stew. Her nickname is Stew. That's where the name Stew's Food and Liquor comes from. And they, Brent, who's the chef, likes Asian food, and I don't think they're trying to be traditional. I don't think they're trying to be exactly the way that you might have a certain specific dish in a certain country. But he was, I like Asian food, and there's not a lot of that in Soulard, so he wanted to go with it. One notable item is the edamame hummus, which, yes, it's not traditional, like I said, but it's got togarashi in there. It's got some miso, sesame. There's a chili garlic oil. It's served with these really light wonton chips. It's a perfect little side dish to have when you're drinking. The whole menu, I think, goes well with beer. Cow soy. They have a lo mein dish. There's some shumai dumplings. But don't sleep on the cocktails at this place.
Okay.
It's really good.
One of them is inspired by the decor, right?
Yeah. It's called The Fat Man in a Yellow Suit. There's a painting of a large man in a yellow suit, and they came up with this really tropical cocktail. It's got rum agricole, orange juice, pineapple, allspice, and then they pour it over this mound of shaved ice. So it's very, tropical and festive. And, spring is here. We've already had 80-degree days.
Oh, right.
So the weather is definitely beckoning a fat man in a yellow suit in the best way.
And then the last thing, popcorn chicken is something that's also on their menu. And that is also something you can get a lot of different places.
Yes.
What is the stew's touch to it that makes it worth seeking out?
The General Tso's sauce. They just glaze it in a spicy, chili, kind of sticky sweet sauce. And like I said, a lot of these dishes, they are inspired by, great Asian food, and they're just kind of tempering it for a dive bar atmosphere. It's not trying to be perfect, but it's actually just what you want when you're having a drink or two.
Right. Now, the last place on your hit list for last month is a sister restaurant to Share Sweet, which is in Olivet. This is Urban Kitchen. What is it that's being served up there?
Well, the main exciting thing for their menu is their hot pot soups. So they will bring a hot plate to the table. They'll have a bubbling pot of stew on there. Their spicy beef is the one that I think is really popular. It's got sliced steak in it, but then it's got tofu and meatballs and crab stick and noodles, and it's a very shareable, great.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.